So, good morning everyone. So, I did not introduce myself much, but I'm a person who wants to learn many things. And even in the wheelchair, I try to learn as much as possible from the patients. Because of the patient's input, that is when we learn to modify the wheelchair. That is when we learn to make the wheelchair more independent for them. So that is where we are. I cannot say that I'm a wheelchair expert. I can say that the patient for the wheelchair, he's the expert for his wheelchair. So depending on the type of conditions, there are different types of wheelchairs. Yes, we know that. We have seen in videos, we have seen in the media, we have seen all over. In Meghalaya, do you see? You don't see, right? You just see one wheelchair, one type of wheelchair. Am I correct? Yes. Do you see anyone on a wheelchair coming out in the street? I saw only once. That is when Arden was there and he came on a wheelchair and somebody was pushing him. That was only once I saw. Right? Am I right? Yes. In the hospitals, you will see wheelchair. But that wheelchair is not new anymore. You still push them. Whether the footrest is there or not, whether the tire is torn or not, whether the rim is there or not, whether the leather is good enough to carry the patient or not. You see, so why we are talking about a wheelchair? When we were discussing with Dylan and Pongari, we are discussing about a wheelchair. Like, see, wheelchair is a basic assistive device. But we don't know it as much for a wheelchair. We just know it's a wheelchair, you carry patients or you carry goods, like Dr. Lalu said. You just carry goods or carry something. But you don't know exactly how much a wheelchair can be done. Yeah? So, before coming to the wheelchair, there is some guidelines. Who gives these guidelines? WHO, World Health Organization. So they have a guidelines. So the guidelines have some basic principles. So these basic principles, I'll just tell it out. There are three to four basic principles are there. Number one, a wheelchair is a basic human right. Okay? See, any person with locomotor disability has the right to get a wheelchair. But there's a catch. It needs to be assessed by a professional to get the appropriate wheelchair. Yes? Yeah? The next one. The next one is when you get an assessment done by a professional, there should be a variety of wheelchairs so that the patient, can select the wheelchair according to his needs. Yeah? So, now the next one is, when you get a wheelchair, what is the next thing? When the wheelchair is malfunctioned, where do you give for service? So there should be a center for service. Okay? Because as we know, when you give wheelchairs, when they come back, they'll come back gone and you give a new one. Am I correct? Yes? We do that. But we need to learn how to give service to the wheelchairs. One. Second thing is the parts of a wheelchair. If you don't have the parts of the wheelchair, what will you do? Probably you threw it somewhere, right? Somewhere in the balcony or somewhere in the corner of the hospital. Yes? You can see that in your own hospitals that you work. Right? So, it'll be rubbish, it'll be waste, it'll be scrap. But the WHO is doing all these guidelines. Why? To reduce the wastage, to reduce the waste of the wheelchair. Yeah? So that is one. Then the next thing is follow up. When you follow up, it's not about following up how is the wheelchair. It should be together how is the wheelchair and how is the patient benefiting from the wheelchair, and is there any complications to the patient using the wheelchair. Yeah? So these are the basic guidelines for having a wheelchair or giving a wheelchair. Yeah? So now let me ask you a basic question. I'll just come aside. I'll just ask. It'll be more interactive. So, what is a standard wheelchair? Before I come to what is a wheelchair, what is a standard wheelchair?
Fixed wheelchair.
Fixed wheelchair.
Manual. Which is not detachable.
What is the standard? What is standard? Standard is something that is being researched to a particular population. Yeah? To a particular population and how they are using the wheelchair. That is a standard wheelchair. Yeah? So, you use the wheelchair in different hospitals is a standard wheelchair which is not being standardized for our population. Yes? Yes? So, a wheelchair, you need to understand that the wheelchair is being standardized somewhere else. And we are buying it and just simply using it because it's a wheelchair. And no one knows what is a wheelchair, so, okay, chalo, we'll take it. Getting it for free, okay, chalo, go. Yes? So that is where we are. And that is where we need to understand that an appropriate wheelchair, you need to learn how to assess the person, what is the size or what is the problem with the person, and prescribing a wheelchair. Okay, that's fine. Okay, next. Now coming to what is a wheelchair. Ongari has been telling what is a wheelchair. It's for assistive device, mobility. What else? Since you are professionals, you've been defining wheelchair in the professional terms. Yes? Correct. Definitely correct. It's a chair with wheels. Simple as that. The one who discovered the wheelchair or invented the wheelchair because he wanted to move while sitting, put wheels and he's going. So wheelchair. Yeah? So coming to the definition. A device providing wheel mobility and sitting support. You've been talking about mobility. Mobility of the hands probably. But you're sitting on it. So what do we need? We need a sitting support. When you prescribe wheelchairs in your own districts, in your own places, do you remember giving a sitting support? Honestly tell. Yes? No? Why? Because it comes like that. Okay? Give. Because it comes like that, you give. Why? I will tell you the honest answer. Because you don't know exactly why you're giving the wheelchair to them. You know, but you don't know how the wheelchair will help him. You just give him because he needed mobility. But you don't think in such a way that that person might get the wrong posture like how you did. Like how Reggie said, no? You have this position, that position. So you need to understand that wheelchair is simple. But you have to think in such a way that the support is needed. If his trunk is bad, you have to support from the side. If his head is wobbly, then you need to keep a head support and so on. Yeah? So a wheelchair is something that somebody pushes the wheelchair or the person himself push. Or somebody pushed the wheelchair. Correct? So, yeah? So how many of you have pushed a wheelchair? Please raise your hand. Okay, you have pushed a wheelchair. Have you sat down on a wheelchair and pushed by yourself? How many of you? How does that feel?
A lot of pressure is there.
There's a lot of pressure. Anything else? What else? When you try pushing the wheelchair, you'll find many things which are difficult. Why? We'll try it today. We'll try it today and see how difficult it is. Or how easy it is. Or how easy I do it and how hard you do it. Yeah? We'll try to find that out. So, a wheelchair is something that is very meaningful to the person who cannot walk, to the person who cannot come out of his house, to the person who wants to be independent. So a wheelchair is very important to him. When it is very important to him, it is a part of him. So when it is a part of him, he needs to become one with the wheelchair. So if he needs to become one with the wheelchair, the specifications, the size, everything needs to be spot on. So you understand that everything matters. Why there are no wheelchair users coming out in Shillong? Why is it?
Inaccessible.
Inaccessibility.
And
The first thing is not inaccessibility.
it's so free.
Environmental barriers also there.
There are many things. Many things. The first thing is stigma. Oh, Bakuli. Oh, Bachara. He cannot move. He cannot walk. He cannot even go to toilet. Oh, Bachara. Nah? So, we need to think in such a way that if there is one or two or three who gets the best wheelchair, the specific wheelchair for the person, with the motivation from the person who trained him, with the motivation from the support from the family and so on, then he might come out. Yeah? And then other things we'll talk later. There are many, many things. So, why do we need a wheelchair? So there's this lady from Colombia. Okay, just read the testimony and see how it comes to you. Okay, done? So, just a short story. There are many people like this, there are many patients like this, and there are many who suffered Later when I show you the videos, I've been looking after patients. Even till now we do teleconsultations. They stay at home for more than 15 to 16 years to 20 years, getting bad bed sores. They can't move by themselves. Their house is in the upper floor. There are steps where you need to go down. That's why you cannot go out. So these kind of patients, when they get the opportunity, get the right person, get the right equipments, that is when they come out. So, see, giving a wheelchair is very simple. But you need to keep in mind, see, since we are all professionals and we know this assistive device, we need to have the goals in mind. What are the goals that you're giving him this wheelchair or that specific wheelchair or this specific wheelchair? Yeah? So if you're giving a wheelchair, suppose for example, please don't mind, please don't get offended. I'll just give an example. Suppose from Civil Hospital Shillong, you see a patient, see he needs a wheelchair, you give him a wheelchair, go home. Go home. Just wheelchair, you need wheelchair, go home. And the most amazing thing, when you get something for free, it's so exciting. Yes? When you get something for free, when you get excited, obviously the parents will get excited. Wheelchair is there. Come on. But do you even ask whether this wheelchair will go to your house or not? Do you even ask whether this wheelchair will come out or not, or will it stay there for 10 years? So what is your goal? You need to understand that these people who need wheelchair needs to come out, needs to participate in the society, and so on. So, 1. Mobility. 2, independence. Then, like what Konglari said, quality of life. See, when the person is involved in the society, when the person is involved in schools, when the person is involved in family, his quality of life increases. When his quality of life increases, his longevity of his life will increase. I've seen a lot of patients. There are patients, these patients that I go for community visits. When we see them lying on the bed for 15 years, 20 years, very depressed. Why? You ask them, come now, let's go out. I don't want. Come, I'll push you. No, I don't want. It's very difficult to push them because it's been years. You will not understand. Why? Because you have not suffered. When you speak to them, when you learn from them, that is when you understand that this person needs to do something. So that is why a wheelchair is very, very important for these kind of patients. See, just an example. I told you I used to go for these wheelchair marathons. We started in 2010, 2011. This patient is one of my patients. This patient, 17 years in bed. This patient is able to do, this person, I will not say patient anymore, this person did a 21-kilometer marathon on a wheelchair. And all did 10 kilometers. This person did a 41-kilometer marathon. Who would expect that? Who would expect that? No one. So a wheelchair can drive them, can make them independent, can make them come out of the society. These are the patients that this person even goes for scuba diving, even goes for paragliding. He's a spinal cord injury patient of T10. He does all this. Can you imagine that? Just by giving him an appropriate wheelchair and he's moving all around and about. There are videos of this guy, I'll show you. I'll show you later. So, there's another person. Just read it and I'll just... Yeah? Done? Okay. So, I'll tell you one story. Okay? Not this story. This story is from the WHO. I'll tell you one story. Any one of you know Mawroh and Mawkyrwat? There's one spinal cord injury patient in Mawroh and Mawkyrwat. She's an old lady. Okay? So this old lady had a spinal cord injury. So when she had this spinal cord injury, what happened? She was so depressed. And one of her relatives has this wheelchair, normal wheelchair. And when she got that wheelchair, she was able to do the same. And even till now, she washes her own clothes, she cooks for the family, and she does a lot of things. But do you know it? Not until I tell you the story. How do I know it? I went to her house, look, because I'm very interested in wheelchair users. So I went, look at the house. Arey, it's amazing. It's so amazing to see these people coming out and doing something. Unfortunately, I don't have a video of her because she didn't let me. She said, oh, no video. No. I don't want video. But there are people in Meghalaya also, in Shillong itself, doing these things. What if she gets a better wheelchair? She would definitely come out. That is the reason where an appropriate wheelchair is needed. Yeah? Now, I looked into your answers briefly, not detailed. There are many of you write wheelchairs, some of you getting it right, some of you getting it wrong. It's okay. We all know there are different types of wheelchair, right? Yeah? So, how many types of wheelchair? Are there types?
Basically, there are two types of wheelchair. One is a manual wheelchair. Basically, there are two types of wheelchair. One is a manual wheelchair, which everyone sees in a hospital, and another is a powered-assisted wheelchair. Then, in this powered-assisted wheelchair, again, there are different varieties and
So, what Sir said, yes, definitely there are two main types. Yeah, there's the manual one where you push by yourself, and the second one is the electronic. When somebody cannot use their hands or use anything for that, they are able to use an electronic wheelchair. So I'm just showing you the wheelchair that we have here. Incident. Okay. So this wheelchair we'll see in every hospital. Yeah, we'll see in every hospital. So, is this a good wheelchair? Come.
One by
Anyone.
Sit, come. We should try it.
Anyone?
You should also use
Yeah. You should try it.
just how the patient.
He's a big person, so he can do it very easily. You will see a smaller person. You will see.
Let me come on, small one.
I tried sitting this wheelchair. It's not so good. Sujata is also good.
Oh.
So,
Can you reach?
Yeah, it's fine. With much effort.
Yeah.
so see, the wheelchair, like I said, is standardized for everyone. So we get the wheelchair, the same wheelchair for any adult. Correct? For any adult we give this wheelchair. So is it right?
Check the arm, okay? Break. See the arm, see the arm.
The arm length and the elbow length is not.
So that's why I've been telling standardized wheelchair and a right wheelchair. Yeah?
Anybody wants to try?
No one else? No. Okay. So see, there are many types of wheelchair, but you see one. Can this wheelchair go on sand? I can go with this on sand. I can go on this in gravel. So what is the main factor here? Training, right wheelchair, yeah, and the right environment. Yeah. See, the environment also plays a big role. See, wherever you go, even coming to civil, you will see the pavements broken. You will see that there are cars parking on the pavements. We'll go now itself. I'll show you. I just came from there. I'll show you that the cars are parking on the part where the wheelchairs are supposed to go. When you go back, you'll see. So, they have no respect. No one has respect, either for the wheelchair, either for the pavements. You go to an ATM, you see a ramp, but there's a footpath. How can a wheelchair go there? There's a footpath and a ramp. Something is wrong with the engineer. I don't know what's wrong. Right? You see these things. But what to do? Cannot do anything, no? So that is when the type of wheelchairs you need to know. Have you seen this kind of wheelchair? What is this wheelchair for? What is this patient? Probably, I can say spinal cord injury, CP. Yeah, there's so many conditions which this wheelchair will fit. But again, this kind of wheelchair, the size, the width, if it's a high level spinal cord injury or quadriplegic, if you put him there, he'll fall off. Right? Because there's no support. In our curriculum, when we were studying as OT or PT or any other, we need to learn the physics, biomechanics, right? So when we say biomechanics, see, it's tilted a little bit backward. Why? The first reason is to reduce the pressure sore on the ischial region. So when you are going back, the pressure is more on the lumbar region and less pressure on the thigh region. So for these kind of patients are the patients that, these kind of patients which have very less mobility. We talk about mobility of wheelchair, but these kind of patients needs to be pushed or assisted by someone. So that's why the angle is different. Yeah? Okay. What is this wheelchair then?
It's mainly for cerebral palsy.
Okay. So this kind of wheelchair with supports are mostly for CPs, mostly again for quadriplegics and so on. Yeah? So I'll show you the next. What is this? Have you ever gone on a motorized wheelchair? Raise your hand. Anyone? I've taken rounds and rounds and rounds of it, different kinds, even standing wheelchair. It's so fun. Yeah? But again, electronic wheelchairs are different electronic wheelchairs. Yeah? Electronic wheelchairs also, there are standing wheelchairs, electronic standing wheelchairs. I have my friends who are doctors who use an electronic wheelchair to do his operations. I don't have his video right now, but I'll get it in a few days time if you want to see it. So these kind of wheelchairs also are very important for especially for patients like muscular dystrophy, yeah, quadriplegics, and there are also adaptations in this. We can adapt it. Some quadriplegics cannot move their hands. What can they move? C4, C5 level of patients, what can they move? Mouth, neck, that's it. Lower down, we can't move anything. So what do we use? We use their chin to control the wheelchair. We use the mouth to control the wheelchair. Who's a famous person who uses this kind of wheelchair? So, if a person is not qualified, or if a person is not good enough to prescribe a wheelchair for him or a fitting for him, he would have died long back. Yeah? So that is why a wheelchair is very important. What is that? Now we are talking about a sports wheelchair. So a sports wheelchair is something very different. What is this?
Wheels are inclined for
It tilts towards the user. So when it tilts towards the user, what is the benefits of it?
the base of support is more.
Biomechanics. Again, base of support is better. Your hand movements are also faster. And this wheelchair has a support all round. Yeah, why? Because when you're playing sports, you need to dash into someone. And that person is also having a wheelchair. So if he dashes into your feet, that's it, your feet is gone. Yeah? So you need to protect yourself. Yeah? So luckily, when I was working in CMC Vellore, there's a spinal cord injury rehab there, and we had a team. We had 2 teams of basketball, wheelchair basketball. So I was able to help them train, was able to coach them, so to say, and playing with them. And one of our patients also got a full scholarship to play basketball in Alabama. Sounds so nice, no? Just from a wheelchair. Imagine if you give the right wheelchair and the right way, the right training. Imagine how far these people can go. They have the brains, they have the athleticism. They have so much potential in them. But we see them, you wouldn't go anywhere. Sitting at home, eating also. We have to give him bath. It's time to give him food. You understand? That is where we need to encourage ourselves first. Whether these people can go far or not. Yeah? Next. What is this? Have you seen this?
Portable toilet.
Who said that? No. I have the luxury of using this. It can be a portable toilet also, but what is the main? Yes, this is mainly for transfer. It's not a wheelchair, but kind of a wheelchair, but it's used for transfer. How do we transfer? Not stairs, I cannot say stairs, but bed transfer, chair, sofa transfer, with less human efforts. You just open the back side, make him shift to that and just open. Just take him. Here, how do we transfer? A patient who is bedridden, we transfer as much as we can. We transfer on on bed sheet or a stretcher and so on. Just holding the person somehow, holding the person somewhere, not even noticing whether the shoulder is weak or not, but just transfer because we have to transfer. Yes? So this is the new kind of technology that is coming up. Not only this, there's another type also of transferring where they use a cloth for transferring. So there are many types. It's coming up. Okay. So, like Sir said, there are two types. But WHO says this. There's no single model or size of wheelchair can meet the needs of the user, and the diversity among users meets the need of different types of wheelchairs. Okay? So, there's no such thing as different, there are two types or three types. Many, yes, classifying them, but there are many types, depending on the users. Suppose the user is a mechanic. We have to think in such a way that the wheelchair will suit his vocation. Yeah? If the person is a teacher, it should suit the vocation again. So these different types will actually help the person explore his potential even more. Yeah? So, there's one patient that I was seeing when I was in Mawroh. There's this type of wheelchair. They don't have money to buy. Obviously, you need money to buy a wheelchair. Okay? You need money. Somehow, if you don't need money, or if you don't need money, also you need to travel. You need expenses. Yeah? So, she does not have any wheelchair. She has this type of wheelchair. So I had to customize the wheelchair for the benefits of the patient. Has anyone of you tried to customize this wheelchair? We had to customize the wheelchair because she's a small person, small person. She's a small person, we had to customize it. We have to break off this, lower this, break off this, increase the height. Everything we need to do it. Why? Because they are not able to pay anything. They don't have the money. But somehow we took it to a mechanic and he does, and we just explain the mechanics of it and he does it. And she's fine. So, remember, a wheelchair can be customized according to the needs of the patient. But you need to have the knowledge. Just customizing is not good. You need to have the knowledge. So when you have the knowledge and you customize it, that is when the benefits come. So, this wheelchair is for what? So, if this is for temporary, why are you giving the patients for 15 years usage, for 10 years usage? So that is the question that we need to answer. If this kind of wheelchair is temporary, then why are we giving it to a patient who has a long-term condition, a chronic condition? So does this benefit that person? No. Instead, it will give complications. So that is where we are. That is why we are having this workshop. How is wheelchair used? How you display it? Yeah? How you use the wheelchair? Just going around. In our houses, there are some small barriers. We call that shoka, no? Shoka. Floor beam. How do you go about it? You have a stick. You have a stick? No, just a stick or something. Anything. If you have a long stick or rod.
Tony, you have something there? Some kind of stick or something?
Okay. Just go and see if you have one. Let me explain.
Dindu.
Dingo also will be fine. So why I'm telling that? How is a wheelchair used? See, while using a wheelchair, can this table be moved?
Yeah. Rekan dengan lang dinirikan si Sakir. Give me something.
Just for an example. So what happened? Suppose if there is a barrier or anything blocking your way. Can you go? You want to try and see? It's very difficult. So that's why the types of wheelchair is very, very important. And how it's being used also is very, very important. Yeah? Just having a wheelchair is not good enough. Having the person who uses the wheelchair uses it effectively. Getting in and out of the wheelchair. Can you get in a wheelchair like this from the bed? Suppose if you are paralyzed from the, say if one leg is not good enough, can you get inside? Very difficult. You need assistance. And when you need assistance, that is when you need another person and you don't become independent anymore. Just having a wheelchair and giving this, okay, is fine. But again, we need to see the patient is able to get in by himself or get out by himself. Imagine if there's a car outside, you have to go and run. Somebody has to carry inside the car. Why? It's fixed. You cannot do anything about it. So it's quite difficult. That is when the types of wheelchair is needed. The different types of wheelchair is needed. Like I was saying, like here we travel mostly by small cars. Or say two-wheelers. Outside of Meghalaya, there's a load of buses. Imagine buses. How will you carry a patient inside the bus and so crowded, might fall, there's no seat, then pulling the wheelchair. Behind somebody is honking, honk, 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 honk. Imagine, put yourself in that situation. That is when the stigma comes even more. Going like that day full traffic was there just because of me. I don't want to go out anymore. So you understand, there are a lot of barriers just from a wheelchair. Now, like I was saying, different wheelchairs have different impacts. There are different types of wheelchairs. There are wheelchairs that go on sand. There's wheelchairs that go even on water. Yeah? There are wheelchairs that go everywhere. Now they're designs. They're different designs. So it depends on the professional like you and me. How do we assess them? And when we assess them, how do we give the perfect wheelchair for them? I cannot say perfect, a near perfect wheelchair for them, so that we can see them excel, not only in life, but their physical well-being and mental well-being. Yeah? Now, I was talking about postural supports. There are many postural supports. See, this 1 day of workshop is just the fingertip of wheelchairs. I've learned this for so many years while working. There are many cushion types. There are many pressure points. Yeah? And you see, when you see pressure sores, where exactly do you see them? Mostly? Ischial region, trochanteric region, yeah, ankles, yeah. So you see a lot of places where pressure points are there. So these posture supports are meant for that, to reduce the load on the ischial region and so on. Yeah, to correct the trunk, to correct the head, and so on, to correct the feet, correct the calf, and so on. So, coming to its parts. There's a question about wheelchair and parts. How many of you know the parts bit by bit? Can anyone come? Just show briefly. What are the parts? Anyone can come. Anyone can come. You're so scared. Please don't be scared. This is for learning purposes. And yeah, anyone, please come. Please come.
Start with backrest, then backrest, okay, see.
Okay.
This
This is
armrest,
okay.
then bearing wheels,
Okay.
and the caster wheels,
Okay.
and then leg rests, footrest, and then calf rest. Calf.
This is
Looks like a footrest only.
this is footrest.
Footrest. Calf.
This is legs. That's it. Anyone can come again? Just one more person? Any person can be. Anyone. I'll tell you there are 3 more parts that are missing. Yes, please come. Please come.
We have the standard of the backward. Then here we have the. Everyone can hear. So then this is the seat, but here the cushion is not here. And then even the chest support and the lumbar support is not there. As well as, where's the other parts of?
On the side, see? On the side, see? Anything else? The front wheels. This is fine? How is it? Okay, please correct. Please correct. Yes, okay. Who said you can correct? I can correct.
Oh, you have to take that out and put it on.
Yes, I want to see if it's correct or not. I've been using the chest for a long time.
Anything else that you're missing?
That's what I mentioned.
Okay. She mentioned the support or the straps. Anything else? What is it? What is this? This is the frame, yes. What is this? What is this? What does this do?
Water gun. Splash gun.
What do you think it is? Yeah, it's just for sure. It has no importance.
I think it's for the wheel. Protection wheel. So that when you put the cushion, it doesn't drop to the.
It's called a side panel, that's it. It protects your hand, it protects your thigh. Yeah? The next, what is this? The black one behind.
Keep the files pouch.
Huh?
Out the pouch, keep the files.
Yes, of course.
Oh, that. It's used for when you have to lift up. It's supposed to be up to yes.
So what is that called? No? Propelling is this?
Deep propelling.
No? Yes, it's called a tipper. So you tip. Yeah? Yeah? There's another part that you miss. That is there, no problem. I am not saying that is a part. What is this? You don't see those.
Basically, they call it as a push rim.
Push rim, yes. So, see, different parts. So easy to see a wheelchair, but knowing the parts. Yeah? Yeah? So, you get another wheelchair. So, this is one. There are some types of wheelchairs that I show you. This wheelchair. What is the difference between these two?
The height.
Okay, height. Okay. What else? Hmm? The seat, yes, good.
Armrest also is a bit.
Armrest, yes, good. Which one is better? Why do you say black one? Because it looks more new.
No, it's
Depends upon exactly that. Yeah? So, can you see difference? Any difference between the two again? Look closely.
the tires.
Which tires?
That's
The caster wheels. So what is the advantage of having a thicker and a thinner wheel? Caster wheel.
Why we have to see, because depending on if the tire is less than 50% of that 100 psi, it causes a lot of more energy wastage again for the patient.
Okay, that is one. What is the, see, just looking at the width of the wheel. If you go, yes, sir.
Balance because of stability.
One stability, but according to the terrain that you go in. If you go on a terrain which is more, what to say, more soggy, more sandy, more gravelly, this is better. Why? Because
More space.
more space. Same with cars. Yeah? That is smaller. So if you go on sandy, definitely you will go in. Yeah? So there's a lot of difference. Now, these wheelchairs, when you buy, they come like this one. Company does not know whether you're going on sand or gravel or anything. They'll come like this. You buy this, you get this, you buy this, you get this. Who is responsible of getting a better wheelchair? So, by having knowledge, you will give a better wheelchair to a person who needs this. That is just the tip. There's some more. Yeah. See. Seat and cushion. Yeah.
Listen, give me that cushion.
So, a seat and cushion. When you buy a wheelchair, no, the person who tried it before can sit. Yeah. So, just a simple little cushion. You get a simple cushion. How does it feel now? You try it. Try it. Sit back. Sit back.
This is more comfortable now because I feel it to be discomfort.
Yes.
And now it's because
See,
yeah, now my hand also is more relaxing, no?
Yes.
Yeah, that is how.
Backward.
Yes, even the back is also. The previous I said no, I feel like discomfort.
Yes.
And some like that things also staying whether I just 1 minute also not here. But now
Exactly.
Yes, it's more comfortable.
You want to try it? Please come and try it. Please come and try it. You will exactly know exactly where it bends or where exactly the pressure comes or how comfortable it is. But please note, this cushion is just for demonstration. But still it gives you comfort. So, how the hands? But still, the bumps, the ischial region will be better.
Yes.
Yeah. You do not come up. Yeah. So, Priyank try. Because her hands are touching the armrest, we'll see now. How is it?
Higher cushion.
Yes, slightly higher cushion. Not only higher cushion, the footrest also we will see. See the footrest. This is where you need to customize. You need to bring the footrest to her level. So when you bring the footrest to her level, that is more comforting for her. Yeah. Even the armrest also you need to reduce a little bit so that will increase comfort for her. Yeah. Thank you. So
This type of wheelchair either come with the adjustable footrest.
that's what I'm saying. You need to customize it. Yeah. Cut it, remake it by yourself. I have done it. You can do it also, but you need knowledge. So that is where we are. That is where becoming a rehabilitation professional, that is where is needed. Go an extra mile to learn something and make something better for someone. See, you're working in hospitals. Hospitals, it's quite easy to do things. When you work inside the villages, when you work inside the community, that is when you need to become very innovative. Yeah? So that is where we need to do all the modifications and the setting and all that. But again, if you don't know anything, you might spoil the wheelchair. You cut it and you have to throw it. Yeah? So you have to throw it. Then again, another story. So, see this technical part. 0 to 12 degrees of angle. Why so? From the front. From here it should be 0 to 12 degrees and going down. Why? Okay? So if you look at your thigh, when you are sitting, your ischial region will be touching, but your thigh won't be touching. So it would give an uneven pressure to your ischial region, and that is when the pressure sores develop faster. So, while giving cushions, it's not just this cushion. You need to make sure that this cushions also satisfy the recommendations of the patient. So much technicality, right? That is where you need knowledge. Yeah? See, an adequate pressure relief cushion is the component of wheelchair that is mostly cause pressure sores and even death. Why I'm seeing this? I've seen a lot of spinal cord injury patients, and because they've been using the same cushion, they don't understand because you don't explain to them. So if you don't explain to them, obviously they do something wrong. And when they do something wrong, it's on you. You might not know because it is because of you, because you don't have the knowledge. But if you have the knowledge and you know it is you who caused the prolonged death, so that is the reason why we need to understand. So wheelchair cushions are used for three reasons: comfort, pressure relief, and postural support. So postural supports also sometimes there are patients who have the curvature of the spine is not good. I can say probably a little bit scoliotic, a little bit kyphotic. Yeah. So we need to see the patient where he needs support. Yeah. Now, is it okay if I continue? Yeah. So, is it boring? Is it not boring? Informative? Okay. If we go to the mobility part, we have just known the wheelchair types, parts. Yeah. The mobility part. So I was telling you that this guy is the guy who ran 41 kilometers on a wheelchair. He's the first wheelchair marathoner in India. You can check his YouTube channel also. He has a YouTube channel and he's a motivation speaker. He motivates people who are like him all over India. All over India. When he first came to us, he was so fragile. He was so fragile. And look now. He became one of the motivation speakers in India. He has been in many channels. He goes for swimming even though he cannot walk anymore. I'll show you videos of him at the end of this. So, see, how many has he motivated? This is just 10 to 20% of it. They made sure, they made difference. They made sure that the beaches will have ramps till the water. Because you can't go on wheelchair. There are certain limits that you can go on the sand. So they made sure, see, they made a ramp till they reach that place. One life we touch. And see how many lives we touch. So that is where we professionals need to be very, very spot on our education, on our training. Yeah? Or else we'll be doing something wrong and we won't do this. Yeah? So, see, they have their own group going around city, going around anywhere. They have their own group. It looks so nice to see these people coming out and encouraging you who are normal to come out. So, these people are actually doing something. What are we doing? So, we need to change it. We need to know something more and improve on it. See, I was telling you wheelchair basketball. I was teaching them wheelchair basketball, and some of them have represented India. This is the photo that I took when we are in CMC. We have this rehab mela, where all these patients, spinal cord injury patients, hundreds of spinal cord injury patients come and take part in this. So, this is one of the photos that I took that while playing basketball. We also have in wheelchair, we make them do sports. Encourage them to do something. whether it be athletics, whether it be team sport, whether it be anything. So that will increase their mobility and functional independence. So, see, mobility, it does not mean only moving a wheelchair, going in and around. It means you, the patient, it means the patient transferring by himself, going by himself to the car, taking his own wheelchair, if possible, if not possible, some help, going in and around, taking the wheelchair, shift back. That is mobility. It's not only mobility, okay, just moving, okay, fine. No. Mobility is something that needs to be independence, whether wearing clothes, whether wearing pants, whether taking their own wheelchair, servicing their own wheelchair, and so on. It should not be stuck on something that, okay, I'll move the wheelchair, that's it, that's mobility. No. It should come out. That is what mobility is. Like what we talk about, postural support, if needed, then participation in different environments. You see in any weddings, a person who's disabled coming. See? The only time you see these people who are differently able, I cannot say disabled, these who are differently able are programs like this. Programs where we give wheelchairs, programs where they get aids in schools. But in voluntary occasions like weddings and all, you don't see. Why? Why? Oh, jenjar ya lang ni happen bang, happen ra. Balik sabar ra. That place not feasible for my son or for my daughter. I have to look at him. I don't get to click pictures. You understand where we are? That is the place we need to understand that we are still lagging behind in our knowledge, in our stigma that we have. Yeah, that stigma is so much that we are scared to do something about that. Yeah? Like I was saying, there are a lot of barriers. Using a wheelchair, coming here itself, I was telling you, coming here itself, there are cars on the pavement. How can I come in wheelchair? If somebody sees, so I'll help you. If I'm the one using the wheelchair, I said, no, I will do it myself. What's the difference? The difference is that mentality I got from teaching. See, when I taught these patients to become independent, I should also have that mentality that I should not help that patient, that patient should come up by himself. He should try at least. That mentality you should have. You should see where he lags and help him. But we probably not good. So we should break that. It can be an age, probably too young, probably too old. Yeah? It can be gender. I'm a girl, I cannot push a wheelchair. I don't have strength. But I've seen female patients pushing a wheelchair 10 kilometers, 20 kilometers. Right? They're doing it. Then the type. What type of person you are. Whether you are a person who is very, you don't have that willpower, I can say, where you're a person who's very timid, who keeps to yourself, or whether you're a person who is very open with yourself and you go out and it's okay, whatever. I can tell them whatever, I will do it. depends on the type of patient also. Then, like I was saying, stigma, cultural beliefs. Đây bà, để sống sang. We believe, this is a punishment of God. Right? We believe. And we, as the people of Meghalaya, mostly, we have a lot of beliefs. Somebody give black magic to myself. Right? There's so much things going on and these people are talking about that instead of helping this person. Yeah? Information. See, when we talk about information, it's so nice to hear that this channel is coming up. It's so nice to hear that media is helping reaching the information to every corner of Meghalaya. Yeah? But there are some parts in Meghalaya also that cannot be reached. So we need to tap into that also. Because these are the things that everyone should be able to get. Everyone should be having the information. Yeah? So that is why one of the techniques that they are using, the media, is very, very good. Now, participation. How do we help them in participation? How do we help? First, it's you. Who will get in contact first? You. So when you get in contact, you try to talk to them. Try to get the people who are like them to talk to them. Because these participation matters a lot, and if they come out, that is the success that you will get. Yeah? Now, there are a lot of limitations. If you carry your wheelchair, suppose if you're going on a wheelchair, going around the city of Shillong, what are the limitations that you have?
Sidewalks.
No proper
Sidewalks.
okay. What else? Ramps.
No lanes for wheelchair.
No lanes for the lanes are there, cars are there. I will show you. Definitely I will show you.
Accessible
Go back now, you will see.
Accessible transport.
Accessible transport. Like I was saying, ATM. The person in wheelchair can go to ATM. Hey Pak, cuma satu plan aku, satu senang bisa.
Public offices.
Public offices. What's wrong with public offices?
Ramps. No ramps. A lot of stairs.
No lifts.
No lift.
No lifts. Okay. So,
Why I'm saying there are limitations? Like what you said, ramps.
okay.
So we as professionals should be very technical with ramps. Why I'm saying this? You know what is the height and what is the length of the ramp? You know?
Hey, misteri, nak ni mu? Ram. Ram. If you go, you'll fall. You'll die also.
So when you build a ramp, who do you call? Who do you call? Honestly speaking, who do you call? Engineer. What does the engineer know? Exactly. He knows nothing. And we that know also, no one comes and asks us.
Our estimate is this much. You build, huh?
Build.
Person with disability, come on, die.
So what is the ramp? The ramp is something that helps a person to go up a slope, with minimal energy.
So, what is the length and what is the height? The height, the ratio should be 1:12 or 1:10. What is this 1:12 and 1:10? 1 foot of height, 12 of length. You see ramps like that here? If you go and measure, nothing. Even in civil hospitals, so I'll make sure it's not. Anywhere it's not. Why I'm saying this? What boy like yet? Full energy. Having back pain also. Full slipping also around. Raining. See, the ramp does not only help the patient on wheelchairs, it helps the person pushing the wheelchair or the trolley. It helps the professional also having less injuries. Pushing a ramp, you go push a patient in this ramp, you will get back pain or you will get hand pain. Why I am saying all this? My intention is not to offend you all who are here. My intention is that you should know. These are the things that you should know, and when there is a construction that's supposed to be disabled friendly or differently able friendly, you should know exactly how to do it. If the space is not enough, we have a term called landings. Suppose this is not possible because 12 foot is such a big one. And if the building is huge, then obviously you cannot do much. So you have a landing. You go, you have a landing, go have a landing, go have a landing in such a way. It should be designed in such a way. So if it's like this, then every person who uses a wheelchair can come up very easily. When you go to ATM, it's like this, and how you'll climb up. Very difficult. Yes, it's very difficult. You go to a disability office. What you will have? There's no ramps. Ramps are not feasible. There's steps. How you go to the steps? Can you? No. But I have videos where we can go. Can you go on a wheelchair? On the steps? We'll try today. You'll be amazed that you can go on steps. So these are the things that you need to learn, and these are the what I can say is I've learned all these tips and tricks from where I work and from where I study. Yes, and it's personal. What to say? To me, it's personal to learn about wheelchair. That's why I became, what to say? I cannot say I'm expert. I'm telling you, I cannot say that I'm a wheelchair expert. But I can say that I know about wheelchairs and how to modify them and how to use them and which type of wheelchair, which brand. And I'm telling you, there are hundreds of brands. The Nakliwala also is there, and there's good brands also are there. So you need to understand them. Next, jobs are limited. How many people who are in wheelchair or of that sort get jobs? Very rarely. But with the coming up of online jobs and COVID working from home, at least that is something. But how many? Very few. Very few trained professionals. Since you are telling me I'm a wheelchair expert, I'm the only one who knows about wheelchair. So, again, if I'm the only one and you don't know me, obviously that guy is gone. Yes? Probably now that you know me, you'll call me, hey, I have this patient, what to do? But if you don't know me, what happens to the person? He won't get a good wheelchair. And even if he gets a wheelchair, he will not use it. Yeah? So, train professionals. Training a professional. Again, Like I said, you know the wheelchair, but how much of you know? Because it's not only knowing a wheelchair, it's about you, how you know or not how to train a patient in a wheelchair. And that takes years of practice. And again, if there are no patients, how will you know to train the patients? Train yourself. Yes, exactly. I train myself to become one with wheelchair. And you give me any wheelchair, I can do any tricks. Yeah? I'll show you later. Not now. Now, after having limitations, now we have the benefits. What are the benefits? So, benefit of an appropriate wheelchair. Yeah? The benefits of appropriate wheelchair has so many benefits. Okay? Individual, it improves quality of life, functioning, and so on. Physical health and all that will become better. Family. It helps the family to pursue their own opportunities as much as they can, and so on. Okay, you are in a wheelchair, you can make tea a little bit and all that. Okay, you do yourself, I'll do myself. If there's no wheelchair, please shoot strong right, huh? Yeah. He just sits on a bed and he does that. So it's not good. Yeah? Then, society. What does a society? It helps the society understand better, increases the productivity. Okay? The stigma reduces and so on. Yeah? So, there's a waste, this waste, like I was talking in the beginning, there's a waste of wheelchair. That waste of wheelchair also will be lessened. Yeah? And complications like bed sores and all that will be reduced. And there is a reduced risk of falls, especially in old people. So, the next part, see, knowing about a wheelchair, okay, knowing about a wheelchair, you need to know these things, okay? Service delivery and training. What does that mean? It means there are various steps. There are various steps while choosing a wheelchair and giving the wheelchair training, the person in the wheelchair, following up and giving them support. Okay? And different steps. So, see, while selecting a wheelchair, you need to select the wheelchair with the professional or with the therapist or whoever is involved in measuring the wheelchair for the patient or for the person. Then the next is the fit. See, selecting a wheelchair and fitting the person into the wheelchair also needs to be considered. The train. Probably training the patient in basics and slowly then come up to the advanced training. Follow-up. Follow-up is something that you need to follow up with them. I'll go step by step wise. So, as I was saying, wheelchair services, first thing you need is assessment. How do you assess a person for the wheelchair? Yeah. Second is the provision. After the assessment, what do you do with it? Okay. Selection of wheelchair and so on. Training. Training the patient in different conditions. Support. You get a support from other patients who have learned wheelchair. And referral. For example, if you get a person who wants a wheelchair and you don't have that wheelchair with you, you try to refer them to someone who knows them, okay, who knows the company and so on, so that they can get a better wheelchair or a better service for their selves. So assessment. So assessment is something that you and the patient needs to assess. Okay, needs to assess how much is the size, how much is the weight, and so on. Okay, so we need to. There's a form. Okay, WHO has a form, and that form is around 4 pages. Huge form. The length, the size, the cushion needed, the work, and so on. A huge one. That's why I'm telling you, wheelchair skills, wheelchair prescribing needs to be a lot of training, needs a lot of knowledge and a lot of training for the professionals himself. Yeah? Then, requires, like I was saying, individual assessment, taking into account their lifestyle, their home environment and physical condition. As an occupational therapist, we try to assess not only the physical part, we try to assess their home modifications, okay? We try to assess their work, what is the work, where is the building and so on. We try to assess the ADL's activities of daily living, whether he's able to do anything on a wheelchair, wearing clothes, yeah, doing his work on a wheelchair, going from place to place, transferring from a wheelchair. So that's why an occupational therapist assesses all these things for the benefit of the patient. So, what is the benefit? The benefit is good fitting, okay? It gives you accurate size on what size the patient needs. Then, for example, we have two samples here. Which one would you rather give? The patient is very functional. Which one would you rather give? Both are black. Which one? The newer black. Why? It's new, it looks fun. Size is smaller. Why not this? See, that is where sample is needed. It catches your eye. Which one is better? That's why samples are very important. That's why when you prescribe a wheelchair, you need samples. Whether this person will suit this wheelchair or not, you give them a try. You try now on a wheelchair. Sit on that wheelchair. How does it feel? It feels better, it feels okay, and so on. So, wheelchair, like I said, we need to document the size and see, one patient from another patient, one person to another person is different. Size is different. But the person will also be different if, suppose now I'm suppose this size is suppose how much size? So suppose 30, I'm 30 to 32, for example. By winter I'll be 34, right? Weddings. I'll eat more. Yeah? So you need to see the flexibility of the size also, at least half an inch or 1 inch according to the person type also. So you understand? Now, like I was saying, the type and size, additional components, for example, this. See, there are some wheelchairs, if you see in quadriplegic wheelchair or that big wheelchair that we saw in the morning, this tipper has another extension. It's called an anti-tipper. So something like that for a person who's not able to push the wheelchair properly, if he pushes the wheelchair he might go and might fall, then he needs an anti-tipper. So these kind of components are needed when you see the patient. Okay? So the information or skills that the user needs to know, be able to perform before leaving the service of a new wheelchair. So before leaving, you need to make sure that the person tests it out. See if he does it or not. If he does not do it, you take the wheelchair out and try another one. So you need to understand that. Without trying, you give the wheelchair, obviously there's something wrong with you. So you need to check. Now, there are different needs. You need a wheelchair just for inside your house. There are a wheelchair outside the house or inside the house. It depends. Yeah. You should ask the person whether you need it to use both. Sometimes you buy two wheelchairs, one for outside and one for inside, depending on the person. Yeah. And sometimes you just need one just to do the multi-purpose, depending on the patient. So, again, of any age or gender. So, see, for adults, we try to give them this for temporary, this one a little bit permanent. And there's another wheelchair. So, be of any age or gender. Meaning, gender probably you have to choose a lighter wheelchair. Yeah. There's another wheelchair. See, for children we have another wheelchair. Yeah. We have another wheelchair for children, but unfortunately the footrest are gone. I don't know where. So, yeah. So there are different types of wheelchair, be of any age or gender. But again, this wheelchair, yes, we give it for the pediatrics. But again, do you think this wheelchair would be beneficial for the kids? Just you are adults and pushing this wheelchair itself, very heavy. This, you give them to choose to propel. Probably they might be good for someone to push and fit. Fit is okay. But you have to think. You have to think that this wheelchair is beneficial for them or not. Because they want to push by themselves. And if they push too hard, what happens? From a young age, getting shoulder pain. The moment they reach 15, so for example, reaching 30, they'll definitely have periarthritis of the shoulder. Definitely. Or something, frozen shoulder or something you will get. Some injury you will get. Why? Because it's heavy. So that is why there are different types, different materials. They have titanium alloy now. It's very costly, yes. There's one wheelchair. That wheelchair is called a Bookie. Very costly wheelchair, 3.5 lakhs. You can do this to the wheelchair. I bought that one wheelchair, the patient wanted. I bought that wheelchair for him. Not that I bought from him money. He wants it. I showed him the video and like, I want it. And he bought it, 3.5. Why I'm saying this? He is a CEO of a company. Big man, big money. But unfortunately, he's a spinal cord injury. He has he's a quadriplegic. He's C6, C7. He's able to push the wheelchair because it's very, very light. Just by touching is going. If you give a C7, C6, C7, this and this, he cannot propel at all. So that is the difference of you knowing brands also. Knowing the different type of alloys also. Again, it's a lot, right? Yeah? Again, there's a lot. So you need to think about it. You need to know all these things. Yeah? So, again, for frequency of duration, socio-economic status, how much, in their own price range, how much. Yeah? There are some wheelchairs that are costing, yes, like 6,000. This probably costs some 14,000. This costs some 12,000. Yeah? There are varieties of prices also. There's one person, unfortunately today I was supposed to get one wheelchair. To show you guys what the wheelchair, I give one person one wheelchair. He got it from that organization that I was volunteering. So he got it for free. It cost around 27,000. Very nice wheelchair. But unfortunately because of the weather he didn't sell the wheelchair. So I said it's okay because you can't sell it. So, but still I said that wheelchair is one of good wheelchairs, medium price. The size is there and so on. So again, assessment. So when we say assessment, any volunteer please? Any of you? You need a chair. You can bring a chair. So these are basic assessments that I'm going to teach you that will help you in your work. So, to know the size of the wheelchair, always remember how do you measure the width of the wheelchair? How do you measure the width of a wheelchair? From this way. Sit. So I was asking, so you know the width of the wheelchair, so if you measure this, so this wheelchair is around 20 inch. 20 inch from here to this side. So this space in between this space is around half an inch. So half an inch this side, half an inch this side. So 20 plus half, so 21 inch. Yeah? So 21 inch. So how much is your size of the waist? You will know if you buy pants.
So when you buy your pants or your trousers, you have a size that you require when you buy it, right? So can you tell me your size again? Because what? Say for example, 36 for example. So 36 round, right? 36 round. So when you say 36 round, and from here to here it's almost half. It's almost half. I cannot say it's half, it's almost half. Yeah? So when you measure,
okay. So when you, I'll be louder, is that okay? So when you measure, you make sure that the knees are together. Yeah?
We have a chair around this.
So basically, you need to find the widest part. Which is the widest part of the waist or of the thighs? Trochanter to trochanter. Yeah? Trochanter is on the lateral side. Yeah? So, make sure when you measure, make sure you make him sit on a bench or on something which is flat. It should not be soft. Okay, it should not be too soft. When it is too soft, then your measurement changes. Yeah? So, you try to measure like that. But you should make sure that this is perpendicular, hard enough. It should be hard enough. So, you need to measure how much is the. So, his is 16. So, see, it's almost half I am saying. So, you need to have a space here of ½ inch and ½ inch this side. So, his size will be 17. Yeah? So, that is one way to. Oh, please come on.
You can be there to the rest of the measurement as well.
Please come on. So that is one way of checking the size. So now this one is 20 inch. So how much should we use? 3. So it's this much. So you understand that this wheelchair is not feasible for him? If he gains weight, then ½ an inch is there. He won't grow more than that. He won't exercise after that. Yeah? So that is what I'm trying to say. So if you measure this, then this space is not beneficial for you. Instead, it will give you pain if you use for a longer duration. Yeah? The next one is measure the what in the picture? Measure the footrest from the knee. How much it is. Then you check the wheelchair whether it can go down or up. Yeah? The footrest. From the footrest, like what I was saying, if it cannot go up, you have to modify your percentage. Yeah? The next, from the trochanter or from the seat, measure. Are you able to see? You should measure perpendicular to the Or you can measure perpendicular to the olecranon. Yeah. So that is measuring the armrest. Yeah. Now, backrest, where should it be?
From the scapula to the scapula.
Where should it be?
Trochanter to the inferior angle of the scapula.
Correct. It should be just 1 inch lower to the inferior angle of the scapula. 1 inch. Okay, if it's directly at the scapula, when you go back, it'll pain. Just 1 inch lower, it will have more ease. Or 1 inch or 1.5 inch. Will have more ease. So you should measure that. Feel the inferior angle of the scapula